Like Florence likes to say, sometimes you just need one affirmation that really clicks with you and you immediately imprint your subconscious mind and manifestation just becomes like a miracle, fast and easy. And in today's video, I want to teach you how to create your own perfect affirmations. So in case you don't have money for pay for coaching, or just let's be frank, you don't need coaching, in the moment that you realize how to know yourself, and you will know the kingdom of the gods, because you are the god of your reality. And sometimes you just have to find the perfect sentence that resonates with you, with your own way of, speaking, and then your subconscious mind will accept it a lot faster and easier. So if you want to learn how to create your perfect affirmations so you just can create them by yourself, this video is for you. Just so stick around to learn with me how to create the perfect affirmation for manifesting your desires. Hello everyone, my name is Neyah, and on this channel I talk everything about manifestation, esotericism, and so much more. On Patreon, I do make extra videos weekly. Join the community, the link is down below. And for my services, if you will ever need them, the link is also down below. But now let's get started with the video. I taught this technique even on my e-course, Manifesting Easy and Fast to Your Specific Person, because I really do believe that when we create our own affirmations, they just sound so much more natural to us rather than do copy and paste from the internet. Now with this, I am not saying that copy and pasting from the internet an affirmation or asking a coach for it doesn't work, because there are so many success stories and evidence that shows that obviously that works too. It really all depends on what you believe and what is more comfortable for you, because your way of manifesting at the end of the day is going to be the best way, because news is we all manifest whether we are conscious of it or not. But sometimes I did notice that creating our own custom-made affirmations can tap into those limiting beliefs that we still might hold, and therefore make the process a lot easier. So I will give an example. You might have some blocks, or but more than blocks, I will say like limiting beliefs just sounds better, or actually what happens is that your brain, your psyche is structured with the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and then infinite consciousness, the collective consciousness. So between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, there might be layers of protection. Let's put it this way, just to make it easier for everyone to understand. And those layers of protection, we could call them program, or even sometimes a limiting belief. And so yes, it's true, the general affirmations can work wonderful, and I do use them also from Florence, and I love them, and I think they have their own place. But especially for those of us who want to manifest pretty fast, or want to tap into and just crash down those limiting beliefs, create more tailor-made affirmations might be the best choice. So it really depends, or sometimes even mixing between a general affirmation just to start the affirmation process, and then mixing them with specific one might also do the trick for many of us. And that's what I do. I start with general, or I carry the general affirmations throughout the day, and then I go more specific, and I will say like 80% of my, and this is only my experience of course, 80% of my affirmations are general, and then the rest is specific affirmations. Obviously, keep in mind that I don't hold the magic sauce to manifestation. You do you do what works for you, because I can only talk from my experience. So comment down below, and always let me know your stories, because I do answer all comments when I have time, and I do read them for sure. So what happens is, let's give a practical example. Let's say that you want to manifest money, and so you find some general affirmations, or even if they sound specific but they're like made for a larger public about money. So let's say that you believe that your limiting belief is money don't grow on trees, which could be the case, and you just start saying the universe is abundance, or I manifest a lot of money, whatever it might be, and nothing seems to happen, or not solidly. It might be because actually your limiting belief, it's not actually money doesn't go in trees. It might be something a little bit different that you have to tap into. Now, again, I'm not saying that copy and pasting an affirmation might not work. I'm just addressing this for people who might be interested in creating more specific and tailor-made affirmations for them. Remember this. If it resonates with you, this video is for you. Otherwise, it's not, okay? So what are we gonna do? Let's just, apart from the introduction, let's be practical on this video. Take a piece of paper or a notebook or your iPad or your phone, the note on your phone, whatever it is that you prefer. I like to write usually on paper because I'm a bit old school. And let's take a new page over here and let's write down what is it exactly that we want to manifest. So what is your desires? And I want you to be specific if you can, of course. So we are going to write down what is my specific desire. Now, if you have more than one desire, go ahead and just filling all the desires that you have on a list. What is my specific desire or specific desires? For the purpose of this video, we're just going to make one desire just to be more practical and easier for everyone to understand. So what is my specific desire? Let's say, and again, I'm going to be general, but let's say that my specific desire is I want a loving, committed relationship. Okay? Or it could be I want financial freedom. That makes sense. So let's write it down. I want financial freedom. So you choose whatever it is that you want. You can even choose I want my specific person. I want a loving and committed relationship with my specific person. I want virality online, whatever it might be. Like, honestly, just be honest with yourself. I want financial freedom. So I'm going to take the example, I want a loving and committed relationship, just for the sake of an example, really. It's not, don't take it too personal. So I want a loving and committed relationship. Now, my suggestion before we even start constructing an affirmation, that's only my suggestion, is to be even more specific on how this loving and committed relationship looks like. Just to play around a little bit with imagination. You guys know I like Neville Goddard. I do like to use imagination to manifest. I think it makes it easier and fun to do, to focus more on what we want, and therefore utilizing our imagination to focus more on what we want. So how does this relationship looks like? Whether it is with your specific person or whether you don't have any specific person necessarily in mind. So I did the same when I was manifesting my fiance, and I just literally went very specific. I have a video about how I manifested my ideal partner on this channel. Go ahead and watch it. It's a video with a thumbnail where I'm wearing like a blue jumper just to make it easier for everyone. And I was very, very specific. And the way I was specific, I wasn't specific on looks, but the only reason why I wasn't specific on looks is because I didn't care. The only thing I cared was that he had blue eyes. I don't know why, but I didn't care. But you can also be specific on looks if you want that, of course. But try to take your own time. And this is something that I learned. It might not resonate with you, but just hear me out. Try to create this list or this imagination, scripting mode of the ideal relationship or the ideal job or whatever it is that you want to manifest, even with your specific person. Try to write down without coming from the past. So sometimes I noticed, and even on myself, that what happens is that we desire something and we project it in the future coming from our past. So let's give the specific person example because it's very important. So we want a loving and committed relationship with this specific person, and the way we describe it, it's coming from the past, meaning like, considering the past version of them that ended up resulting, sorry for my laundry, ended up resulting in something that you don't want. So know from the version of your specific person that is coming from the past. Remember, the version of your specific person that you want to be with might even exist in a completely different reality that you are reconstructing from scratch, or you're just quantum jumping to. So again, this is also for your ideal person. Try not to describe this person as your past stories, because that's something that I used to do. I always had in mind the person that I dated before, or the people that I used to date before, and that's where I was coming from when I was writing this list or specific manifestations. And then I couldn't understand why I was always attracting or manifesting always the same kind of person. And then the last time I just decided to go for what I really want, not what I dated before, not what I think is possible. I wrote down even things that I thought were impossible, but they were really things that I really want. The same is for the job. Write down specifically how this loving, committed relationship or this job looks like in the best version, what you really want. And I don't care whether or not it sounds impossible. And this is a really good exercise to get clear about what you want, because your subconscious mind is registering everything, and it's also registering all the specific things that you want, so it can go and manifest it for you. Once you've taken your time to do that, now let's start with constructing your own affirmations. What you will have to do is let's analyze the list of things that you wrote down about what you want. By the way, if you need it, just stop the video so you can write it down, and stop the video right now if you need to read them again. And then just try to look into it, even the things that sound impossible for your job or for the loving relationship. Let's say that you have wrote down for the committed relationship, I want someone that treats me like a queen, that takes me out on dates, that doesn't take me for granted, or a king, by the way. And I want marriage, or maybe I don't want marriage, whatever it is that might be. Just look at it, and especially look at those specific things that you wrote that, again, might sound impossible. And then just write down why those things sound impossible to me. And whether it is about a specific situation or not, write down why for you those things that you wrote down in the present moment might sound impossible. Even if rationally you know that you can manifest everything that you want, and you know that nothing is impossible, but just be honest in this process and in this exercise, and just write down why for you in the present moment certain things might sound impossible, whatever they're related to, right? And then when you have wrote that down, look at your answer and ask yourself another question. Maybe you have wrote down the specific circumstance. Having a loving and committed relationship sounds impossible to me because I never had it. Right? And then look at the answer, whatever answer you had. You can write it down in a box like this one. I know you can do it, guys. And then just ask yourself this other question. When was the first time I felt this way? When was the first time that I felt that I didn't have what I wanted? In that specific. So let's say that you say, I want a loving, committed relationship. And again, this is an example. And that sounds impossible to me because I never had it. When was the first time that you thought that? When was the first time that you realized I will never have a committed relationship, or that is very difficult for me? Or let's give another example. I struggle with money. When was the first time that I realized that money, it's hard for me to get, and it's impossible almost to get to the amount of money that I want, or to the financial freedom that I want? When was the first time that I really felt that I really thought that, right? It could be a moment in your childhood. It could be a moment during your teenagehood. It could be anywhere in time that you remember. It could be a couple of episodes. But try to get to the core. If you don't remember, don't worry. You can still construct your affirmations. But I guess the majority of people will be able to remember when, or even vaguely, when was the first time that they have thought that that was impossible. And then look at that circumstance and that episode. So maybe you have been rejected by someone that you liked, or maybe you've been rejected by a lot of people, or maybe you always faced challenges and struggle, or maybe in your family there were certain behaviors that you noticed around money or around relationship that led you to think that committed relationships are impossible for you, or having money is impossible for you, whatever that might be. And then see yourself in that past version of you, if you can, and just what would you advise if that person wasn't you? What would you say they should do? Like if that was a loving friend, or you would be the spirit guide for them. See yourself objectively outside of your character. You see yourself and you're like a spirit guide, or you're like a loving friend, what they would say to them, and write down that affirmation. Write down what kind of affirmation you would suggest them. So for example, in the case of a loving and committed relationship, and that sounds very impossible to you, and maybe that sounds impossible to you because you always, and this I'm just inventing, okay? You always saw your mother or your father struggling with each other, telling you not to trust anyone, telling you that nothing is permanent, that nothing is too good to be true, and all this sort of stuff. And that thing kind of stuck in your head. What a type of affirmation would I say to myself? I would say to myself, it is safe for me to trust, Nothing is too good to be true. Nothing is too good to be true. I can be loved perfectly in the way I want. You understand? So the majority of people will suggest you to say, oh, you want a loving and committed relationship? Just affirm, I have a loving and committed relationship. I'm not saying this is wrong. Do it. That's a good advice. But if we can tap a little bit deeper and say, I am in a loving and committed relationship, and then we penetrate deeper into the subconscious mind or programming, and let's say that this example resonates with you, and your family or someone said to you, you can't trust anyone, and nothing is too good to be true, nothing stays permanent, you cannot always have what you want, stuff like that, right? And you have individualized, you have found that that is the programming that you have around relationship. Now you can say, I have a loving and committed relationship. It is safe for me to trust. Nothing is too good to be true. I can be loved perfectly in the way I want. And those three affirmations just are so tailor-made for your programming, are just so tailor-made for the thing that is emotionally connected to those limiting belief, and now you can surpass them. You can repeat this affirmation, and you can manifest a lot faster, in my opinion, in this way. So again, I'm not necessarily saying that you cannot manifest with the affirmations that a coach give you, or you put copy and paste, not at all. But sometimes when we just tap more deeply into our limiting beliefs or programming, and when we just penetrate them with some specific word that just resonates so deeply for us, the process might become faster and might become easier. So I hope the process was really clear. I'm going to summarize it again for you. So what are you going to do? You're going to write down what is my desire, and you're going to be trying to be as specific as possible. After you write it down, let's say, for example, I want a loving and committed relationship. You're going to write down how this loving and committed relationship looks like, without coming from the past, but with coming from your ideal, your ideal version of that relationship. Therefore, even things that sound impossible to you, you're not gonna write coming from past judgments. And then after that, you're gonna write down why those things that I wrote down, or some of the things that I wrote down, sound impossible to me in the present moment, even if I know that nothing is impossible, but why I feel resistance towards them, or why do I find them impossible or improbable. I'm going to write them down why. And probably what it's going to happen, you're going to find a specific circumstance or the reason why you find them impossible. And then you're going to write down and ask yourself, when was the first time that I felt this way, or when was the first time that I thought this? And you're going to try to even vaguely realize a circumstance or a specific moment where you thought that might come from your childhood or might come from your experience and memory at large, because as I always say, self-concept and memory manifest, so it's not just your self-concept. And then from that moment on, you are going to see yourself objectively, and you're going to give, by seeing yourself outside of yourself in that specific moment in time, you're going to try to give to yourself an advice, a new affirmation coming from the perspective of a trusted friend. So you become the trusted friends, the loving friend, or the spirit guide, and you're going to create an affirmation for yourself that tab into those limiting beliefs. And every one of you guys can do it. You will be so shocked and surprised on how fast you're going to be able to generate this affirmation if you just go with the flow and don't question things too much, but just follow the process. Another video, in fact, that I want to make is how to meet your higher self and discovering more things about your manifestation that might make manifestation easier. Because when we connect with our higher self and we ask our higher self questions, I know it sounds very esoteric, but trust me, I can explain how it works exactly. When we connect with our higher self and we ask them questions, even during the day, this higher self that exists in the fourth dimension is going to give us information on how to even achieve our manifestation, or just motivate us. It's just wild. It's a thing. It's a meditation that I found. It works. It's amazing. I advise it to many of my clients. So let me know in the comment down below if you ever are interested in more of the spiritual, esoteric topics. I will love to make this kind of videos for you as well, and as well with law of assumption, law of attraction kind of videos. So again, let me know in the comment section. I hope this video was useful for you. Share it with your friends if it was. Like it and subscribe to support the channel. I'll see you also on Patreon and very soon on this channel. Love you guys. Bye.